Hello there, it's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole? If you love today's bloody good content, I want you to smash that like button, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's bloody good episode of r/Am I the A-hole? Thank you. Our first post today is by user equalad4766, titled, Am I the a-hole for taking my mum's side and telling my wife that my mum did not verbally abuse her? So, my mum and my wife have never been close, but I don't think either of them have been in the wrong until this situation. They just don't click. My wife is really into making soap. She sells it on social media and recently quit her job to sell soap full-time. My mum has literally never said anything negative about the soap, but when she was asked to buy it, she declined. My wife is like a dog with a bone, trying to get my mum to buy this soap. She asks her every time we see her, and when my mum declines, my wife starts listing the virtues of the soap and trying to force my mum to smell it. She has also brought my mum's finances into it, and argued that my mum and stepdad both make good money, and speculated about how much my mum spends on her wardrobe, which really isn't our business. Well, my mum stopped by the other day to see the kids. Before she left, she used our bathroom, and my wife stood outside the door yelling the whole time about, "How's the soap in there? And don't you like it?" My mum came out looking pissed, and my wife immediately offered her a friends and family discount. My mum screamed, "I don't want your effing soap. If you aren't making enough money from the soap, that isn't my problem, and I don't want to hear about the effing soap again." And then my mum left. My wife immediately asked what I was going to do, and I said that I would talk to my mum, but my wife should have dropped it with the soap. My wife said that wasn't good enough, and that my mum had committed verbal abuse. I replied that I don't consider that verbal abuse, and now my wife is very upset, and feels like I'm taking my mum's side, and that I should set boundaries with my mum. But I feel like my mum kinda set a boundary when she said she didn't want to buy the soap, and my wife didn't give an F about that. And OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I do believe that your nuclear family comes first, and ultimately, my wife is way more important than my mum, and I would not want to devalue her experience. I mean, that's genuinely a fair point there. And in a lot of situations, that is the go-to rule. It's kind of like, she's in your court and your mum is in another court. Your wife is more important and you don't want to devalue your wife's experience. But this one to me, this is a situation where you can make an exception to that rule. I feel like it's not an entire make or break situation. It's akin to the stupid MLM crap that goes on. Your wife is acting like an MLM snake oil peddler and being like, "How's the soap? Oh, you don't like the soap? Just try the soap. It's so good for you. Oh my god, the soap. I'll give you a friends and family discount." Your mum is right to be pissed off. Your mum tried to set boundaries. Your wife didn't respect those boundaries and continued to push those boundaries. This, to me, is not a situation where your wife is justified in her actions. She's continuously being pushy, she's trying to peddle something that your mum doesn't want, and your wife is being a dick. Your wife is turning this into a situation it doesn't need to be. That was not verbal abuse, that was her being shut down after she continues to harass your mum. F your wife. She needs to be put into the naughty corner with a bloody dunce hat on because she's acting like the village idiot. I have no remorse for that woman, I would have done the exact same that your mum did, because that's effing annoying. So good on you, OP, not the a-hole. Lipstick On says, "Right, well, your wife was verbally harassing her, so she got what she deserved. Not the a-hole. Your wife needed to hear that. She's probably all up her friends' asses about her soap and driving them away too. Your wife needs to learn that no means no. It could be the best soap in the whole world, but nobody's gonna buy it from an annoying nag. Especially if that person is standing outside the bathroom when I'm peeing, yelling at me to smell the soap. That's crossing a boundary. I like to pee in peace. I'm guessing OP's mum wanted the same. Not the a-hole. You stand outside the bathroom yelling at me while I'm peeing, I'm coming out and shitting in your hands. Lol. How's that smell, Carol? Lionel Messi Peters says, You're the a-hole for not stopping your wife from harassing your mother over the soap earlier. Not the a-hole for taking your mum's side though. Exactly. He should have gotten involved way before it got to this point. Yeah, my partner's happiness would be a priority for me, but not at the cost of my mother's patience, or rather anyone's patience. More than that, it's the fact that it's pretty clearly not really about the soap as much as the sales. If OP's wife was just really proud of the soap, eager for OP's mum to try it, and offered OP's mum a gratuitous bar that OP's mum rejected, that would be one thing. But the talk about the mum's finances and offer of a friends and family discount, evidently after trying to sell it to her full price up until that point, makes this really ugly on OP's wife's part. If you're demanding compensation, you have no right to be offended when someone declines the transaction, no matter who they are. Flexible Corn says, "I'll talk to mum about it," was a weak response that lets your wife think she's in the right. You should have stood up to your wife about her constant pestering, especially after your wife asked you what you were going to do about it. Millennial Bullcrape says, "Not the a-hole. So your wife can make soap. She should learn how to sell it. Spoiler alert, it's not by irritating people into submission. If she sells it at a farmer's market, does she chase people screaming at them to buy soap?" That mental image I got was priceless. I can imagine a lady at a farmer's market chasing people around and shouting, "Doesn't it smell nice? It's the lavender!" And our last comment by Lucy2171 says, "It's weird that your wife keeps pressuring your mum to buy the soap. The way she is acting is almost like she's part of an MLM company. Also, it is totally overstepping the line bringing your parents' finances into it. But I also find it bizarre your mother wouldn't buy any soap and support her business. I know she doesn't have to, but you'd think she would want to support her daughter-in-law." I was thinking the wife had MLM vibes too. She sounds like the essential oil people. Now, I had the same thought too about it was odd that mum didn't try to support the wife's business to begin with, but maybe she just truly didn't like the smell or texture of the soaps. It's not a big deal to buy one bar then never use it, but if she bought one, the wife would expect her to buy more. Most people don't buy stuff knowing they aren't going to use it, unless it's from a kid's fundraiser or something similar. After the first refusal, mum probably just buckled down on principle. It's pretty much that, since soap is a constant buy, plus the daughter might feel insulted if the mum just never used the soap too. The mum is screwed either way, lol. Our next post is by user New Job A-hole, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my old boss that it's just business?" So I got my first job out of college at a relatively small, privately owned business in my field. I had interviewed at larger companies, but I liked the smaller company feel, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to get experience in a lot of different areas so that I could advance my career, or even step into a larger role at the company sooner than I could at a large one. The current owner of the company had purchased it from the founder a couple years before I arrived, so he inherited a lot of the clients and contracts that the original owner had acquired. The owner didn't believe in annual employee reviews, and always said that if anyone had an issue, to just talk with him whenever. So after I had been there for about 18 months, I called a meeting with him and asked for a raise. He told me he would think about it and get back to me. He called me into his office a couple days later and said he ran some numbers and that he could only afford to offer me a token raise and some extra vacation time with the promise that he would reevaluate things in a year. He told me it was just business, no hard feelings. This was frustrating to me because I had already been heading many of our more lucrative contracts and projects, and I knew we were bringing in a lot of revenue that was directly related to my work. About 6 months later, one of our clients that had been with the company since the previous owner and that I had been working closely with since I started, approached me about taking a position with them that would be a huge jump up for me professionally. I thought about it for maybe a week and decided to take it. I put in my 2-week notice and my boss was pissed. He called me ungrateful and that I was leaving them high and dry. With 1 week left, he told me not to bother coming back into the office for the final week, even though I was in the middle of helping people transition into my projects. At my new job, one of the first tasks was evaluating the contract that my previous job had. I asked my new boss if there was any kind of conflict of interest, but he said I wasn't the only one working on it, and he wanted my opinion. So I tried to be as diligent as I could, and found that there were better and more affordable options for us than my previous job. The other people evaluating the contract found the same thing, so the higher-ups decided to not renew the contract with my previous boss. When he found out about it, my old boss reached out to me and called me a traitor and accused me of purposefully telling my new boss to end the contract out of spite against him. I told him I don't appreciate being accused of such things, and that it was just business. No hard feelings. A former co-worker reached out to me shortly after and said that with the lost revenue from the contract, it's possible the company may need to lay people off or close altogether. He said my old boss fully blames me for it. I feel like I was just doing my job and did nothing wrong. And OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I think I might be the a-hole for telling my new job that the contract they had with my old boss is a bad one. I'll be real, I wasn't expecting you to think that you're the a-hole for that. I thought you'd think you're the a-hole for saying, nothing personal, it's just business. And yeah, I know it sucks that the run-on effect from that is that a bunch of people get laid off and the boss blames it on you. You kind of did set yourself up to be a target there by saying that to him, but, sometimes spite like that feels good. If this is the environment where it's okay to burn that bridge and it won't screw you in the future, then thumbs up for that. But there's situations where doing something like this will come back to bite you. With the way that businesses are, you do kind of want to be saving as much money as possible and getting the best, bang for your buck through a contract. It's not particularly your fault that this contract fell through with the old business. You genuinely were just doing your job, and if anything, that old boss should be blaming the company for finding someone better, and then he should be doing business better and matching that contract. Ultimately, this all comes down to your old boss, I would say. I'd say you're a bit of a dick for saying it back to him, but it was well deserved, so I'm gonna go with not the a-hole for this one. Secret Outlet 736 says, not the a-hole. Your ex-boss didn't appreciate the work you did, so you left. You and a few other people found better options. You didn't do this out of spite. I'd say you did your job, and he's just butthurt about it. Professionally, OP needs to look after his own career and interest. Consequently, that means doing a good job and looking after the interest of his current employer. Ex-boss made everything personal, which is bad business conduct. His entire conduct is very unprofessional, stemming from how he handled the raise request to accusing OP of sabotaging his business. The success of the business is sometimes a reflection of ownership. Completely apart from moral, that's what you get kind of judgments, a company that will die if one of their clients finds a better option is already dead. Carib92 says, not the a-hole. Please don't be guilted by this. I've worked for a small private company as well, led a massive project which was also one of the most profitable and didn't see a dime in bonus. Left the company right after. Small companies always have the same excuses. Not making enough money, limited contracts, etc., but then they pull up in the most expensive cars, take the most expensive trips, etc. They forget that it's the team that holds the company afloat. You did the right thing. I'm a no-nonsense type of employee, so I would have done the same. My last boss, owner, was practically wiping his crocodile tears with $100 bills when he told me he feels bad that he can afford a new BMW while others, me, second in command, and our company can't. Ridiculous. Bosses forget that a company can be without its employees, and employees that are treated well usually go above and beyond for those that value them. This is why I've stayed with my side job for 11 years. My boss makes sure the team is taken care of, treating us to lunch, and encouraging us to strengthen our skill sets. She has our backs, and we've fought for her and work our tails off to make sure the business succeeds. Hell, she even came to my dissertation defense and took notes. It wasn't anything close to her field, but she came and participated. That generates serious loyalty. And $2 Bill says, not the a-hole. Your old boss had to do the best thing that he could for his company, and your loyalty to the company ended with your last paycheck. Now your loyalty is to your new company, and you have to do the best that you can for your new employer. Since what you found was a common finding amongst a capable group, it sounds like your previous employer was simply not offering the product or service that he could or should have. His old boss did not do the best thing for the company. The best thing would have been giving OP a good enough raise and making sure he kept him and the contract. He did the best thing to line his own pockets. Posted by user 617097713. Titled, Am I the a-hole for uninviting my sister to my wedding for what she told my fiancé? Now, my, male 27, fiancé, female 25, has an obvious permanent burn scar from an accident that caused her mother, her only parent, to pass away from injury. My fiancé had a long recovery, and it's been 7 years. The scar is on her collarbone. It goes down her chest but isn't showing. Unless she's wearing scoop/square tops. She often wears hoodies and jackets to cover up. She puts this cream, I don't know what ladies call it, but it's supposed to tone skin color or something. I'm not sure, but my fiancé calls it foundation that's 1 degree brighter than her skin color. I absolutely adore her. She's pretty, smart, ambitious, and the list goes on. What happened was unfortunate, and I'm glad she's at peace with herself and more confident. My family love her. How can they not? She's a member of the family. My mum makes sure she takes part in every family function and things like shopping and decorating other things. However, my sister made comments about my fiancé's scar several times. I've called her out on her behavior several times to get her to stop because she was hurting me before my fiancé with her backhanded and insensitive comments. I told my fiancé she had every right to cut my sister out and not deal with her bullcrap, but she has been forgiving and respectful of my entire family. Our wedding is in February. My fiancé went shopping for the wedding dress. This is where the issue started. My fiancé showed the wedding dress to my sister. I didn't see it, but I was told it was a spaghetti strap dress. My fiancé likes this stuff. Anyways, my sister saw it and went nuts, and she started criticizing her choice and said that she should have gotten a high neck or a jewel wedding dress to cover up the scar. She argued with my fiancé about it. I went to my family's house and I confronted her. I yelled at her after she told me my fiancé needed to return the dress and get a proper one so that guests won't focus on her burn scar and use it as the topic of conversation and gossip. I told her that she's not invited to our wedding. She isn't welcome to my wedding with this entitled attitude of hers and her insensitivity and disrespect. We argued for half an hour and then I left. In exactly an hour, my mum and dad called and berated me, saying my sister was crying after I uninvited her and that I had no right to uninvite her. She's my sister and was just trying to help out and give an advice and avoid any unnecessary drama at the wedding. My mum said my fiancé can keep the dress, but suggested to wear a pride shawl as a neutral solution. I stopped responding to my mum's calls and texts after that. Family members were upset that my sister was uninvited and wanted me to invite her again because this will make family look bad in front of outsiders and guests. And OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. My family says what I did was disrespectful for the whole family and its reputation, and I needed to fix it. I personally feel that this is a situation where OP should definitely not try and cover up for this family. If there were a time, this would be it to humiliate the family in front of outsiders and guests. OP, you can't let your sister get away with this unnecessary drama before the wedding just to avoid it at the wedding. And then OP's parents and the extended family members enabling that behavior and defending the sister, especially your mum saying wear a pride shawl as a neutral solution. How about no? How about the mum goes and finds a neutral solution that shuts the sister up? If OP's wife intentionally didn't want to cover up, and the argument was about covering up, why is a neutral solution covering it up? That doesn't make any sense. That's giving the sister what she wants. It's good that you stopped responding to the calls and texts after that. If the family members want to go and make drama about this, uninvite them from the wedding too. They don't need to be there if they're going to drag your day down. Not the a-hole. And in the comments, Broken Nail says, not the a-hole, and uninvite anyone who insults your fiancé, in my opinion. And OP replies, I'm definitely standing my ground. This is mine and my fiancé's big day. Not the a-hole. Also, foundation is exactly what it sounds like. A foundation for the rest of your makeup, etc., usually used to even out skin tones to make blemishes less obvious. And Judy Valuable replies, not the a-hole, and thank you for sticking up for your fiancé. Tell your family members that your sister thinks your fiancé should be ashamed of a scar from a tragic accident and should hide it. So you disinvited her until she apologizes. And if they don't see anything wrong with what your sister said, take this as an opportunity to trim the guest list and save more money. By the way, Princess Eugenie of England had surgery done on her spine as a child, and has scars because of it. When she got married a few years ago, she deliberately wore a backless dress because her scars are a part of who she is, and she's not ashamed of them. As a princess, her dress had to be approved by the Queen of England because of her station, and because the entire world would be watching her wedding. The Queen did not think there was anything inappropriate about her wearing a dress that showcased several scars down her back. If a dress like that is proper and appropriate enough for the Queen, I think your mother and sister could keep their mouths shut and accept whatever your lovely bride wants to wear. I hope you both have a long and wonderful life together. Obit Addictor says, not the a-hole. Your mum is ridiculous to suggest your fiancé needs to compromise with anyone on her wedding dress. OP is not the a-hole. His sister and mother now, those two surely are. That rotten apple didn't fall far from the tree. And Serge RN for the win says, what a small person your sister is. Your fiancé's burn scar is a badge of courage. I work in surgery and I've done many burn reconstructions. That's not an easy road to go down, and your fiancé should be praised for going through all that and coming out the other side with her gracious nature intact. Your sister owes you and your fiancé a huge apology. Your mother can offer one as well. This ill factor is childish and reprehensible, not the a-hole at all. And Mimosa Usagi replies, she sounds jealous of the fiancé. OP, does your sister have a history of criticizing or being rude to your girlfriends? I know a few girls that seem to hate any girls their brothers brought home, and I was always put off by them because it seemed like they resented anyone that took attention away from them for even a split second. Also, depending on OP's sister's ages, she might just be parroting what she hears at home. That also goes hand in hand with OP's mum asking for a shawl and the worry they will not look good in front of the others. So while they may be acting friendly and comfortable in front of OP, behind his back, they may be doing complete opposite. Not the a-hole. I'm a burn survivor, and my scars are on my chest and upper arm. I can't begin to explain the mental toll that these so-called helpful comments have on a person. I've had many people pull my blouse closed over my scars because they were showing, or suggest what I should and shouldn't wear because of them. I've had comments about how at least it didn't damage my face and I can hide my scars. It took years to be okay with my scars. What your family is doing is abusive and psychologically damaging. Your sister is not being helpful, she's being cruel, and your parents need a huge wake-up call if they think this cruelty is acceptable. You're right to put your foot down and not allow your sister or anyone else to abuse your fiancé under the guise of being helpful. And our last post is by user TerribleMother238474, titled, Am I the a-hole for making my mother homeless after she mocked the death of my fiancé? So this happened today, so it's all still too fresh. I apologize in advance since my English is not my native language. Back when the pandemic started, my mum was evicted and I offered her to stay at my place until she sorted things out. During this time, August last year, my fiancé of 6 years passed unexpectedly after contracting the plague, and I've been totally depressed since then. Basically focusing on work so that I don't have to think about it. It still really hurts. It doesn't help that my mum has been talking a lot of things about vaccines and how the corona is a hoax, how it's a Chinese plan to dominate the world, etc. It's exhausting. It didn't stop when my fiancé died, which I thought it would. Back when it happened, she said something along the lines of, she died because she was scared. She probably died of something else. According to her, only people that are afraid of the virus dies. I've put up with this because otherwise she would be homeless and I thought I could ignore the drama. Cue to today. I got home and there was a big fancy cake at the dinner table. I was confused and thought maybe I forgot her birthday, since I'm not thinking straight in the past few months. Mum was in the other room when I asked what the cake was about, and she came to the living room doing a funny dance, all excited, and said that it was to celebrate the 200,000 deaths in my country reached today. I live in Brazil. I stood still for some time, thinking I heard wrong. I asked her again what it was, and she asked me if I haven't seen the news. We've reached this milestone today, and she wanted to celebrate all the idiots that died to this hoax. I was taken aback. I grabbed the cake and threw it straight at the wall. She started screaming. I tried to remain as calm as I could and asked if she was mentally ill or if she needed help. How could she think it would be funny to celebrate something like this, especially since I'm still mourning? She told me I should get over it, and if she died, it was just because she was a weak person. So I was better off and she would probably have better grandkids. I decided to escort her out of my house, gave her some money, and told her to stay the night at a hotel and only come back in the morning to grab her stuff. I also told her to never contact me again. I spent the last few hours grabbing all of her stuff and putting it on the outside of the apartment so that she can collect it tomorrow. As of right now, at least 3 family members have reached out to me, telling me I'm a terrible person for throwing out the person that raised me. They said that the cake is just her dark sense of humor, and that I'm a fool for not entertaining it. I told them all some terrible things, and to take care of her if they're so fond of her sense of humor. Of course, now I'm questioning what kind of person leaves their mum homeless, but I really don't want to see her ever again. Am I the a-hole? And Dopey has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I was called an a-hole by family members who think it's absurd to make my mother homeless, but I think I was in the right. Unfortunately, no one so far seems to agree with me, so I thought about asking in this subreddit. I mean, genuinely, in a time like this, it can be seen as a very heartless thing to be kicking your mother out. And there never really does seem to be a good reason for it. But I would say that this is a good reason to be kicking your mother out, especially when she has other people to go to. There are other family members who are dogpiling on you, so of course she can and probably will go to them. They're just as much in the wrong here if they deny her that. But celebrating hitting a 200,000 death milestone, and on top of that, rubbing your life partner's death in your face and saying she deserved it and saying that she was weak and you can go find someone else and have better grandkids with them, that is rock bottom. That is stone cold harsh. I would hope that if you told the family that they would be on your side and be like, you know what, that was warranted. But then again, that might lead them to attack you more, not take her in, leave her homeless further. Who knows? This kind of seems like a lose-lose situation. It's incredibly depressing, and I hope you can get through it. But as it stands, I don't think you're the a-hole for this one. Ronit Sarangi in the comments says, "Now I'm questioning what kind of person leaves their mum homeless. The kind of person whose mum mocks the death of 200,000 people, which includes a dear loved one. Your mum can take her dark sense of humor to a hotel and to those who entertain it. What is wrong with those people? You're not the a-hole, OP. Do not take her back. This mother is clearly a Bolsonaro supporter because this is the kind of evil bullcrap that he's been pushing to his people. As soon as I read the title of the post, I knew OP would turn out to be not the a-hole. Kicking the mother out was totally the right thing to do, and OP should cut her and any family members siding with her from her life. Ryan503 says, not the a-hole. Absolutely not. This is disgusting behavior, and you do not want it in your life at all. I doubt she'll change, but maybe it'll be a wake-up call to your mum. I'm sorry about your fiancé. Disgusting is an awesome word to use. As I read it, I kept thinking, this is absolutely effed. What kind of monster of a mother would do any of those things, never mind all of them? OP, not the a-hole, and go no contact without ever looking back. And AMB Lily says, oh my god, not the a-hole. I was expecting you to be exaggerating when I read the title, but the more I read, the more horrible it got. You should have thrown the cake at her. I'm so sorry for your loss. Well, I would say personally, that's a fair enough not the a-hole judgment for this one. But I'm always happy to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below, because sometimes there is no reason for someone to kick their mother out, and other people are going to judge them for that. And that's fine, but in a situation like this, I don't think that's the case. Anyway guys, this has been Markee. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to in this crazy tumultuous world that we live in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.